All right, well, we
Morning.
do have Commissioner Meyer via Zoom today, so we will have to do independent roll calls for each and every motion. So we will start off with the public comment section. We give our individuals 2 minutes to speak through a timer. So at this point, we'll call first roll for public comment. Is there any public comment?
People who are online would let.
Heidi is checking that. Heidi, is there anyone online?
Does the Wi-Fi work with that scenario? You said there's no Wi-Fi here, but we do have it there.
Spot, which allows us to do the Zoom.
And this is open to anybody online. We'll call a second time. Is there any public comment?
I would like to speak, please.
Perfect. Please state your name and address.
Stephen Batsian, B as in boy, A-D, C as in cat, I-O-N-G, 125 Center Street, Winona, Minnesota, 55987.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I am appearing on behalf, or not on behalf, but as a concerned person in the county. I am an attorney practicing mainly in a lot of real estate transactions. I know we are under a ransomware attack for the Winona County. What my concerns are, and other concerns that I've had expressed to me by other people in the industry, is the lack of communication from the county as far as what's being done. As far as I know, the only thing we have received from the county was the press release, I believe, on January 26th, notifying us of the ransomware attack. What we're looking for, as far as what I'm looking for, and I think the rest of the people in the community are looking for, is some more communication about when this might be rectified or what steps are being taken to maybe make some accommodations for closings in the county. I know from my own practice and from practices of other people that we have not received any kind of indication of when this system might be up, or if there would be an alternate way so we could either record documents or make searches so we can go ahead with closings. I know closings have been delayed, closings have been put off, and we are just kind of working in a vacuum right now, trying to see if there can be a workaround, or at least let us know, hey, this is going to take a little bit longer, but we're working on it. I think what we're finding is, with the lack of communication from the county, is that we just don't know. And we would like some kind of, not assurance, but some kind of idea what's being done and what kind of timetable we are looking at.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Steve. Okay, is there any other public comments? We'll call that the second one. Online or in-house? Third and final time, is there any other public comments? Hearing none. Motion to close public comment section. We'll move on, or actually, we don't need that. We can just move on.
Mr. Chair, can we, I know we don't usually respond to public comment, but since
Somebody.
Maureen, could you perhaps give a,
Well, and I'd like to throw something in there too. I was gonna do it after we
Yeah.
moved on, but
since he might still be on, is it possible to give a short, I'm sorry, I know I didn't ask ahead of time, a short summary of where we are with the ransomware attack?
and before that, I just want to chime in that I actually received some correspondence back and forth. I was on vacation last week, but even down in Mexico, I had a few people reach out and some other attorneys with the same frustrations. So is there anything on that?
Commissioners, so where we're at is we are rebuilding the system and trying to recover what information we can. That process takes time, and that's really where we're at. There's nothing more to share as to a timeline because we don't have a clear picture of exactly what damage is there and what's totally recoverable and what's not. We do plan to have a closed session with the county board. We're going to be seeking timeframes that you're available for late this week or early next week so that you can have a meeting with, the MCIT attorney and the representatives who are helping us.
So one of the questions that, Steve brought up and some other people, is there what's the workaround? I think more than anything, people are just saying, okay, we get that this has happened. What can we do? And is there a way in the next 2, 3, 4 days, maybe by the end of the week, we can have a workaround put into place that we can I'm sure that we have recorded the majority of, I'm gonna say lawyers and title companies, because it is a thing that we could send that out and say, hey, guys, this is the procedure which we want you to follow until the old procedure puts back into place.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility we could do that?
I believe that, yes, we can. Is it going to be perfect?
No. I think they're just
It
looking for
will
anything.
create
Yeah.
additional work, and it will create perhaps some confusion. Because in essence, we're going back to a paper way of doing a lot of the work, not that it can't be. But part of the issue is that we have not had the auditor treasurer present to have those conversations. And that's a critical part of the overall flow. It's my understanding that Ms. Wilbright will be back tomorrow. I don't know what time tomorrow, but I'll get with Mr. Bamanik and Ms. Wilbright, and we'll get a communication out.
I think, and this is just from what I understand, I think just I think everybody can appreciate it's not going to be a perfect system, but I think there's just, nobody really knows what to do. Even if the guideline isn't perfect, it's at least better than sitting, And even if it does create a paper trail, I think everybody can expect some sort of a delay. I think they just want to understand what the delay is. And the other thing too is with Ms. Wilbright being gone, obviously that adds fuel to the fire. With the paper trail, at least it's documented and we have it, it's physically in our hands and we can say, yeah, you're number 5 on the stack. I'm just loose man terms here. Does that
Mr.
make
Chair,
sense? Yeah, go ahead.
early on, we were provided the phrase, we can't say anything because this is an ongoing criminal investigation.
Yes.
True.
And that's still true.
That is true.
And so that's why we are hampered about saying anything. But to Mr. Badcon, believe me, counties have insurance and counties have professionals working in the cyber industry every day. And it's a crazy world, but we are working on it. We're not doing anything. We're doing everything we can, but it does take time and it's a complicated with many multi-pieces and such. But that phrase, it is an ongoing criminal investigation. So we are somewhat hampered at sharing, but we should be able to work something out.
And I was kind of in the same, I didn't have a whole lot to say other than I just referred and go back and said, hey, I'm sure we're working on some sort of procedures. So, okay, perfect. We closed the public comment section, so we'll move on to item 3, which is approval of county board minutes, 3-1 through 3-3, county board, closed session, and county board.
I'll move to approve items 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3.
I'll second that.
Motioned by Commissioner Vagley and second by now I lost my page here.
Commissioner Meyer.
No,
Austin.
it's Olson, but no, I'm actually trying to get back to my page here. Somehow it just moved on its own. Second by Commissioner Olson. All those in favor, just signify by saying aye.
Don't we have to roll call it?
Oh, sorry, we got to roll call this. So let's start here. Commissioner Vagley.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Elsing votes aye. All right, motion approves unanimously. We'll move on to page 4 or number 4, 4.1, the extension, acknowledge receipt of approved committee minutes, 4.1 through 4.3, extension, health and human services and land records.
Move to acknowledge 4.1, 4.2, 4.3.
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Olson to approve items 4. All those in favor, roll call again, sorry, Commissioner. You got to get used to that. Commissioner Vagley.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Elson's aye also. Approves unanimously. Number 5, consent, comments, and approval of agenda. Commissioner Vagley, actually,
Ms. Church.
then Ms. Church, are you sitting in for?
Yep.
Okay, yep. Any comments for you?
Any comments or items later on?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, no.
No, you're on.
Just like school.
Hey, thank you, yeah.
Nothing.
Commissioner Olson.
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Ward.
Just a comment at the end, please.
Commissioner Meyer.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Yeah, and I just have a comment at the end also. All right.
May I?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
I would ask that 7.1 be tabled into a future meeting. The investigator is unable to attend today. We'll reschedule.
All right, so with 7.1 tabled, we can still approve.
I'll move to approve the amended agenda with item 7.1 tabled.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Bagley, second by Commissioner Olson to approve the consent business.
Approve the agenda first.
Approve the agenda on the consent business and, yes, okay, item 5 here. All right, I'll have to go around the room again. Commissioner Bagley.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing votes aye. All right, consent business. Could you read that in, please?
6.1, approve HHS Advisory Committee recommendation regarding committee appointments. 6.2, approve renewal of purchase of service and business associate agreements with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center for mental health services. 6.3, approve contract for building elevator inspections and repairs. 6.4, approve 2026 solid waste collection, transportation, and facility licenses. 6.5, approve purchase of replacement paging repeater. And 6.6, confirm payment of disbursements.
I'll move to approve the consent items.
Second.
Third.
Motion by Commissioner Bagley, second by Commissioner Ward to approve the consent items. Commissioner Bagley,
Aye.
Commissioner Olson,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing votes aye also. Motion approved. All right, we are on to general business. 7.1 was tabled. So we're going to move on to 7.2, receive presentation from Minnesota Department of Agriculture on proposed spongy moth management.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thank you so much for allowing me to come today to present. My name is Kimberly Teeling-Kramers. I'm with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, and I oversee the spongy moth management program at the Department of Agriculture. And our goal today is to come and share a little bit about our program, what we do to keep this invasive forest pest out of the state of Minnesota. How is it impacting the county of Winona here directly, and some work that we're hoping to propose to do in the management of this summer to kind of slow the spread of this pest. And I do believe I have to say next for my slides. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Next slide, please. And you can go to the next one after this too, please. So what is spongy moth? Spongy moth was formerly known as gypsy moth. And I know I believe my colleague, one of my staff members, was in front of the board just last year talking about spongy moth. So hopefully I can jump through a few of these slides. I will, we can take questions at the end if you so desire. But because our team was just here last year, I'll go through this relatively quickly in regards to the biology of the insect. It is a forest pest that is defoliating. It's a widespread defoliator eating trees of 300 species of trees. And you can continue to next slide. It's been in the United States for a very long time. Next slide. It will feed on 300 species of trees, but down in southeast Minnesota, the biggest trees of concern are oak. It loves oak. It's like one of the favorite trees that it will feed on. Causes widespread defoliation. In 2023, the state of Wisconsin alone had over 400,000 acres of defoliation, just under 400,000 acres. So it was pretty a damaging pest just to state to the east of us. Go next slide. It is also can be a human health concern and a human nuisance. As you can imagine, millions of caterpillars in their backyards during times where people want to recreate and enjoy the beautiful outdoors of Minnesota can offer. You can have thousands and thousands of caterpillars, and it can also cause some human health impacts. When you have outbreaks during very high outbreak levels, the caterpillars have very long hairs, and they can break off and kind of float into the air. So people with sensitivities, asthmatic conditions may have some sensitivities during that time. If you handle those caterpillars, caterpillars. You can have allergic reactions because of those. They're kind of like little barbs that they go into your skin a little bit, and some folks can have sensitivities that. It is a federally regulated plant pest. So it is a pest that if we do not manage into the state of Minnesota, then regulations are impacted onto us in regards to quarantines. Very similar to what you may have been experienced with emerald ash borer. Spongy moth was the most damaging forest pest in the United States until emerald ash borer came into play. Now it's kind of the second. It fell down the line, but it's still a very damaging pest. Next slide. Currently, spongy moth is not established in the state of Minnesota other than Cook and Lake County, which is 2 harbors to Grand Marais, but everything in blue is where spongy moth is currently established. It's 1/3 its geographical range. We are protecting it from moving into 2/3 of the rest of the United States where these populations can and will become established. Next slide. Minnesota's program, and the reason for this slow movement, it's been in the United States for over 100 years. It has to do with the female moth cannot fly. She simply has too large of a body and she can't move. So her wings, she can't get off the ground, so she does not fly. So that's why this movement of this pest is so incredibly slow, over 150 years, and it's only in 1/3 its geographical range in the United States. And it has to do with how it naturally moves. The only way this insect can naturally move is through ballooning in the air as a very tiny little instar caterpillar. It'll put a silken thread down into the air and it'll blow westward. And that's the only way this population kind of pushes forward. However, humans are really great at what we do. We move a lot of products very quickly. So firewood, home, we just talked about real estate and people moving properties from one area to the next. And the infested region is just across the river from us to Wisconsin. Next slide. You can go to the next slide. This is just showing some of the artificial movement. Minnesota is very fortunate to be part of a national program called Slow the Spread. This is a U.S. Forest Service program that's initiated. Minnesota is a partner with 10 partner states along the leading edge of this pest. It's the largest integrated pest barrier zone concept in the entire world, largest in the United States, and the largest that utilizes integrated pest management using pheromones to kind of slow this spread of this pest. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Next slide. So everything that we do in the state of Minnesota is done all the way through these 10 states. We survey the same, we treat the same. All the tools that we utilize are utilized similarly across each one of our states. You can look geographically. Everything that's happening in Minnesota is happening in West Virginia, North Carolina, Ohio, et cetera. This program's been in existence for over 20 years, and we've been fortunate to be a part of the program, reducing spread by over 60%. So the economics of this program is basically a cost of 3 to 1 to citizens. Most years, we've been able to reduce the spread by over 70%. So it's an incredibly successful program in the last 25 years. Next slide. So how do we do this? I'm going to jump to the next slide. This is just showing the advancement into the state of Minnesota over time. We're able to manage this pest by taking advantage of, this is the most researched pest in the United States today. We know a lot about the biology, how we manage, how we can detect extremely low levels for this pest. And so we utilize the biology of the insect. It goes through 1 cycle per year. And currently they're in the egg mass form, 500 to 1,000 little caterpillars, and each one of those single egg masses. They're overwintering. They will come out as caterpillars when they'll do their damaging stage. Where we try to look for management in this current project is we're going to target the male moth just when they come out as moths. They're not feeding at that time. Their only purpose in life at that point is to mate. And so we're going to be targeting that. That's also the stage we target for our surveys. So we set, next slide. To monitor for these pests, we set over 20,000 early detection traps across the state of Minnesota. Most of those are targeted on the eastern half of Minnesota, where that population is moving in. We place these traps in early June and remove them for sure by October in the northern part of the state. In this area, we have these all removed by September. This gives us an indication of that population movement into areas. And now we look for isolated populations. So this population is moving like a forest fire. As it moves westward, we're trying to stomp out the sparks that are getting way out in advance of that population before they coalesce and grow and move westward. Next slide. So how do we do management? You can go ahead to the next slide. Our management program in 2026, and this is across the United States, that entire front of that barrier zone concept, we have over 300,000 acres that are being proposed for management along that front to slow the management. 152,000 of those is in the state of Minnesota. So we have a lot at risk here at the state of Minnesota. A lot of work being done in our particular state, 35 areas across Minnesota, 9 counties. It overlaps 13 different cities, and there are many of the counties that are impacted with our proposed project from the Department of Agriculture in partnership with U.S. Forest Service across Minnesota. Next slide.
Should we save questions till the end? Or should-
Sure. Oh, you can, any,
Heidi, can we go back one slide? Why not Houston County?
that's a great question, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, the reason for that, it has to do with the spread. So we manage in the advancing front, and we have managed in Houston County. It's starting to be, we move westward, we focus on the items way to the west. It also has a lot to do with budgets, reductions in budgets. Minnesota had to reduce a lot of our acres, so we're looking where the highest risk is, and anything to the west takes precedent over against the edge. La Crosse County, that is against Houston County, actually is quarantined as of last year. So populations were incredibly high just to the other side of the river. So that population is really pushing in. So this is where we're kind of holding it now at this line. Will we move back into Houston County? Potentially. And have we worked in Houston County in the past? Yes, we have. So it's just moving westward, and we're staying on that leading edge.
So Wisconsin has leaked into Houston County.
Correct.
Sorry,
But
Commissioner Ward.
That's okay, if I could.
Yeah.
But why, okay, so proposed areas, which is good, and I understand you're trying to put the fire out before it gets here. But Cook and Lake County, if they were in dark blue, what kind of management are we doing there? 'Cause
So
have they already destroyed it and moved on?
that's a great question, Mr. Chairman, Councilmember Ward. How spongy mouth moves, once it moves into Minnesota, the Department of Agriculture's responsibility for spongy mouth management is to eradicate, keep it out of our state, or slow it from advancing into the state of Minnesota. Once it gets past a point where we can't slow that population, it becomes established in an area, then that falls under regulation. Then we quarantine an area, and then we slow the artificial movement of that pest through human assisted movement. So the Department of Agriculture's role in Lake and Cook County is working with industry on setting up compliance agreements to be able to move their products out of those areas, similar to like an emerald ash borer quarantine, where anything that's regulated has to go under compliance or certification or treatment before it can be moved out. Then the populations become local level kind of management at that point. Once we move through, this is why we keep it out as long as possible, because now it goes to local management. So when there's outbreaks that happen in those areas that are quarantined or behind the front, it's left up to either county governments, local townships, lakeshore associations to try to suppress or keep those populations at bay. And that's where that.
When you say quarantine, does that mean the movement of wood product?
Under Mr. Chairman, Councilmember Ward, the quarantine for the spongy moth program limits, and I don't have all the regulated articles, but mostly wood products. So it would be logs, chips, bark, a lot of, and outdoor, and actually it goes into outdoor household articles. So during household moves, we encourage residents to do like inspections of their products before they move them west, to a new area of outside the quarantine area. But it really targets wood products. Spongy moth lays their egg mass on pretty much anything outdoors. Like they don't infest it into like an emerald ash borer burrows under the wood, and it's with the wood. Spongy moth, the female, is looking for a sheltered location in which to lay that egg mass. So she will lay it on. We find, for example, anything outdoors, picnic tables, grills, trailers, boat trailers. So you can imagine, because the front is so close to us, you can just go to a cabin in Wisconsin, leave your boat, sit out in the fall, kind of when they're laying that egg mass, and bring it back to the spring to your house to now use it at your place here in Minnesota. And we do see that artificial movement happening more frequently when you're close to that edge. And those are the things that we're trying to encourage people to inspect for, look for, remove before they're moving those types of products.
Question,
Yes.
anything else?
Well, yeah, one last then.
Sure.
So what's Wisconsin doing? They seem to be a threat.
So Wisconsin has a similar program that we do, even though we are working along that edge, they are still working. So just on the other side of Winona, there's actually a proposed block, like literally across the river from us. They are working as well. What I had in the previous slides way before that was kind of the spread. So it pushes back into Wisconsin. So they're still a part of that national program, but to the east of them where the populations are outbreak, and I mentioned in 2023, they had massive outbreaks. They will get, so their Department of Natural Resources has done some suppression programs where they do the similar kind of management that we're doing in the front to suppress populations, to knock them down. But that's local, it's established. The other things that they do, once this pest kind of gets established in an area, there's two caterpillar sicknesses, I'll say. It's a virus and a fungal disease that impacts caterpillars when they had at those outbreak levels. So the hope is that that fungal and pathogen disease kind of moves in with the population if we can slow it down. So the crashes will happen more quickly during those outbreaks. So that is also established into the Wisconsin area. So they're able to see those crashes happening because those diseases kind of kick in. Wonderful.
Couple questions, everybody else? Yes. The heat and cold tolerance of these, are they subject to either way?
Yes, I will say they are. They have a heat tolerance and a cold tolerance on both ends. Unfortunately, it's not to the cold. It's a negative 20 Celsius degrees for an extended period of time, and that's inside the eggs. You got to imagine are kind of buffered and they're protected and they're under the snow level. So there's been great research in the state of Minnesota that shows that indicated, at one point we wondered if they'd be established in northern Minnesota or it'd actually survive. There was great research put out by the University of Minnesota that actually indicated that yes, they can survive. Does cold actually cause mortality? Absolutely. And so this winter, I'm crossing my fingers. This cold with low snow is going to be an impactor, and we're hopeful that it will knock the population down, but it will never eradicate it enough. The cold alone won't be a control.
So with that, and usually that's the case for having a good cold hard freeze, every once in a while, because it does.
Yeah.
We see that in crops. We see that in a lot of things.
Mhm.
So what about, being negative 20 Celsius is cold, but it's not cold. What about Canada? I mean, are they using a passport to get in, or?
Yeah. So Canada, that is the upper threshold. They see, they're not seeing north of like Thunder Bay, so north of Grand Marais. They're seeing some detections, but not to the level. It seems like the United States is giving Canada our pest. They're moving northward versus them coming from the
They're
south.
staying in the heat range.
But they are staying, the populations, we're not seeing outbreak population. Now, the UP of Michigan has seen outbreak population. So we never, as scientists, never believed that the UP could ever get established populations to the level of outbreaks. Well, this pest seems to surprise us each and every year, the more we learn about it. So as it moves into new areas. So yeah, so cold will help. It's a great thing. So even though we as people and humans hate cold, it's really good to keep some pest in control. Next slide. So how do we, the proposed areas for the county of Winona, we have 34,000 acres, just over 34,000 acres being proposed at 5 locations. We name them by kind of, so it encompasses on the entire city of Winona and Goodview. Other cities impacted is Elba, Stockton, and Minnewaska. Minnewaska, I apologize, are impacted. We are communicating and having the similar meetings that we have in front of the county commissioners with city councils as well that may be impacted as well. We were just in the city of Goodview last night as well. Next slide, and we'll talk a little bit about what we are proposing for management. For management, we are working to propose a mating disruption. It is a synthetic female sex attractant of the female moth, and we utilize a product called Splat Gypsy Moth Organic. So it's specialized pheromone lure application technology is what Splat stands for, and it's not GMO. That is actually the old name of Gypsy Moth Organic. It's an EPA certified organic product. It's non-toxic, biodegradable, and made of food grade products. And it's very species specific. So unlike other products that we can use in front of the board last year, we talked about BTK, Bacillus thuringiensis kerstachii, which is a biological, which is a wonderful product that we can utilize in higher density populations. But because these
Can I stop you right there? What does that do?
BTK?
Yeah.
BTK is it's a biological insecticide used to impact a lepidopteran, so moth and butterfly caterpillars. that feed on foliage. It is a product that a lot of people will use in their gardens up to the date of harvest on like for cabbage looper. So that is another product. That was one in Prairie Island. We were proposing last year over Prairie Island, but due to federal funding, we had to cancel that project at a last minute's notice because that funds didn't come through. That was because of high density. So we use that in extremely high dense populations. It's a great product. It's biodegradable. It's organic in nature as well, but it does have a slight non-target impacts of some local lapse, but they recolonize. This particular product is incredibly species specific. So what I mean by that, it will only impact male spongy moths alone. What I have in front of me, and I know that I apologize that people online can't really see, but it's a tiny little vial that's got splat product in it. And this product will be this is about 2.5 acres of application. So it's an incredibly low dose that gets applied. It is applied airily. Next slide. It is applied through air, and there's a small little droplet on. It is a mix of different droplets because it's kind of like a toothpaste in formulation. It's a compressible liquid, which is really kind of interesting, but similar to what's waxy-based product made out of chapstick in a sense, but into a formulation that's a little flowable for toothpaste. We apply that by aircraft. It will be throughout the canopy. Males come out. We disperse it before male moths emerge from their biology. They can't find females in which to mate, and they die before mating occurs. So it's actually, we don't kill anything. We simply disrupt their mating cycle. Next slide. The start of the public process, we want to make sure that all citizens are informed about our project. It's incredibly important that we get the information out. We partner with cities and county governments to help us share the information to all citizens. We will have public meetings. We have set those 2 public meetings ready. We'll have a virtual one for Southeast Minnesota, and we will have a local one here at the city chambers in the city of Winona for citizens to come in. We'll also have other public meetings across Southeast Minnesota and Stewartville and Rochester in Austin, Minnesota for folks to attend. We do legal notices and legal blurbs, press releases as well. We'll be pushing out email notifications. Citizens can actually sign up for direct email and text notifications so that they can get information about both our public meeting as well as the operation when we get close to it. So they will know exactly when our aircraft is planning to be in the air. And that's the one thing I did not tell you or mention is that this is targeted for late June, early August timeframe. Is when the targeted application will be a single application that will take multiple days. With 130,000 acres across Southeast Minnesota, it's going to be probably a 5 to 7 day project over time. But how citizens can also get in, we have a report at pest. Next slide. And we also inform our local leaders. But this is again what they can see when they go online. They can go online, they can click on their individual blocks to see, is their property within those blocks, outside the blocks? Where do they reside as residents? Are they impacted with this proposal? And by putting in their street address, they can also sign up. You can see sign up on the little blue blocks that's showing. They can sign up for those text and email notifications. Next slide. And then the other thing, because this is a federally funded project, we don't know 100% certainty. We do not have the federal funds at the Department of Agriculture at this point, but we are hopeful. It's been 25 years and we've been very successful. We did get federal funding last year, but it just came late past the biological window to do that application for the little caterpillars. We don't anticipate that this one will be that delayed. And we're hopeful that we'll continue to get that federal funding. But if we do not, this project would be canceled or delayed and then it would cause some significant impacts to our spread rates over time. But we do an environmental assessment that is species specific and down to the local level, looking for threatened and endangered species, historical site impacts, et cetera. Even though we don't anticipate any with this product being a pheromone, that's a requirement to make sure that we are not impacting anything that may be at risk. With that, that's the next slide, and that's the end of my kind of presentation. I will take any additional questions that you may have.
Mr. Chair. Question, you have in your little brochure on the one fold out, it says spongy moth hitchhiking on a picnic table. So if a citizen sees some of these little things, what's the best way? You just squish them and put them in a bag, or what do you do? How do you?
That's so wonderful, Mr. Chair, Chairman Ward. what we would encourage citizens to do is that if they find something they recognize as spongy moth, to crawl or arrest the report a pest, a telephone hotline that's in that brochure too. So report a pest. So contact the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. We don't want you necessarily to remove it if it's an egg mass and it's not moving. Now, if it's a caterpillar or a moth, obviously you want to capture it and put it in a jar, but we want to identify it because we want to know exactly where these populations are. We're finding these in incredibly low levels. It is highly unlikely that a citizen will actually see a lot of these life stages in these areas in which we're managing. But if they do, or even outside, we want to know about that. So it's incredibly important that they report it. So don't just squish it and throw it away. Do report it at this point. That's very important.
Question and a comment. Anybody else? Nope.
No.
Okay. And you'll be spraying over residential properties, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I can, being in the ag industry, we're used to seeing planes fly around, but as soon as you start putting up trees in your house, people are gonna have questions. And I can anticipate the phone ringing because a lot of these are gonna be a lot of those are in my district.
Mhm.
And people are gonna be saying, hey, what's this guy? Because we do a lot of,
Mhm.
we do custom hiring, right?
Mhm.
Is there a way, because obviously we're not gonna be able to, answer and ward off every phone call, but is there a way we could do something on the website to kind of be a little proactive about this?
I think they contact.
Yeah.
And that way it's a link to what she put up there. That way they know what they can do. That way we don't have to remember, we can just say, hey, so, and make it maybe somewhere towards the front right away, because this is gonna happen here in 4 months.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, you are very correct. It is definitely when we are the intent, when we're treating urban centers, we do get a lot of citizens' concerns. And that's our goal, is to make sure citizens are aware and they have ability to go to where the information are. So we're doing two things to help with that. We do, as our public information officer puts together an actual kit for your county. So we will give you a kit that has information to be put on your website with imagery. We have pre-made or drafted like Twitter, Facebook. We have a opportunity, if you have a newsletter, we give you that text as well, because in media, the targeted audiences are slightly different. We will give that kit to your county folks to put that on their website. The other main thing that we do that's incredibly important is that each one of you will be put on a listserv in which we notify you only of key things. So we put all county commissioners, city council members, main administrators on a special email listserv. So we will notify you before we notify your citizens. So before a postcard goes out, before a press release goes out, you will get that notification in advance with how to direct citizens to the proper sites to get information. In the start of the operation, before we put aircraft in the air, you will be notified approximately the dates we're going to start. You'll be notified the night prior, the morning of, and when we're out of the area and complete it. So you can immediately have that information readily available for your citizens. That's going to be critical. We're going to try to encourage citizens to get in that text and email. The biggest complaint we get when we have aircraft, these are low-flying aircraft. They're going to be about 100 feet above treetops. So citizens will see them. They are going to be low-flying. They're going to be loud. And citizens can go about their normal duties. We often see that in a large communities. We've worked in the Twin Cities areas, in Duluth, Chicagoland, Cleveland, Ohio. I can go through some very large communities in which we've done these projects. The biggest complaint is they'll look up, they will not see any product being dispensed from the aircraft because it's at such an incredibly low rate. It does not appear that anything is coming out of this aircraft, yet there's a low-flying aircraft in the vicinity of a community. And so that's the other thing we want to encourage. We also work with your 911 dispatch. So your emergency management will be aware. So when they do get the 911 calls, they can assure citizens this is normal, this is okay, this is a planned project.
And most of those areas are in my district.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. So are you putting up the little tents?
We are still doing the survey. That is an annual survey, over 20,000, and we are actually in the process of hiring right now. So I would encourage, if you have any citizens who are interested in a summer kind of position, the Department of Agriculture, go to the Minnesota Career website. We are hiring for these summer seasonal positions. So will be out setting those traps across the county, almost approximately a mile, depending on, we have a grid. It's a generalized grid.
The whole county will be covered.
The entire county will be covered with these small traps.
And I know in the past, they have come to my residence. I'm a rural resident, and I highly encourage And I think they did. They have a car that maybe has a decal on it and that they have some kind of identification. Because when a stranger pulls up in my house and then they start tromping around my infrastructure of my electrical, because they put it in a tree near my I'm wondering, what is this person doing? So for their protection and your protection, make sure they have a bright colored vest or t-shirt or something identifying who they are. And a lot of times they don't even, they don't even knock on the door. They just kind of put the tent up and leave. And then you, again, as a rural resident, you wonder who is here? So just for their own safety. I would reiterate that.
Thank you.
Anything else, Commissioner Ward?
No,
Commissioner Baker?
Did I miss it? You don't have a date. It said late June to early August, so you don't know yet.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Vogel, the actual timing on the operation is late June, early July. So within a kind of about 2 to 3 week timeframe, it will be targeted before July 4th, unless we get like delays in federal funding and we have to push that a little tight to the biological window, but within those few weeks.
The reason I'm asking is just so our media partners, if we could let them know, they can help us spread the word, et cetera.
Thank you. That is wonderful. If we can get media, TV, press releases, if they're interested in coming to the airport to get footage, we've done that before, to get on morning newscasts, the morning of operations. That's been very helpful because citizens then see it, like it's on the news. Okay, we know this is happening and it's normal.
Is it possible to like get 2 week head? How far out can you predict when you'll be in the area? Is it 2 weeks out, 1 week out?
We will know approximately, excuse me, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Vogel. We will know about a week and a half out. So we will give the county, we'll give you notice at that point. We'll also reach out to the media at that point as well. We'll send a press release and ask them if they want to do any type of interviews. We encourage that to come out and be a part of the project to showcase that, particularly when we work in these urban cities. We definitely want it on the local TV stations. Like it doesn't always, it depends on what's current. What is the news story that day, and is Spongy Moth a news worthy kind of pest?
A school board member a number of years ago asked if we could somehow airily dispense Redland. Can we add things to what you're spraying?
I think they could put campaign brochures in.
This is helping with the students in terms of their focus. Just
Well,
air
I'm
dispense
sorry.
Redland.
Go ahead.
Job.
Totally go. Not advocate for that.
Jobs, is it is that a full summer job or is it just a very short condensed time frame for jobs? If we got any youth that.
That's a great, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ward. The job announcement, you have to be a high school graduate so there are some requirements, but it is a summer short-term employment. We've had to reduce the actual employment window a little bit due to just funding things, but it starts end of May. Middle to end of May, they'll get their training. They'll be out in June. They'll have a nice break in July to do their family activities, and then they'll come back in August to remove, and hopefully before the Labor Day. Down in this area, it's typically before Labor Day. So Memorial Day to Labor Day with a very nice kind of 3 to 4 week at least break in the middle to do family things.
Okay.
Anything else? When you ask a call, why don't you put a quarter in the jar for saying their name wrong?
I think I probably filled that jar up. I apologize immensely.
All right, thank you very much. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, great
Thank you very much.
presentation. Yeah. Anybody else doesn't have anything on that. I really foresee that raising some eyebrows.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be
Years ago, and really, it didn't.
it wasn't too bad.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I think it's gonna just be where it's at. It's gonna be
Yeah.
very subject to
We'll
what
be able to
we
give
bring.
you too, so. Okay.
100%.
Okay.
All right, we will move on to 7.3, discuss approve appointment of additional member county extension committee, page 98. Any
It
discussion?
looks like we have permission, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
It looks like we have permission to add a citizen. And again, being that we've got good quality citizen applying, I think we definitely should add them. So I would move to add Nicole
Sterling,
Chalet.
I'll
I'm not,
I'll second that motion.
yeah, I apologize for the name. To the extension committee.
Order in the jar.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner or it's actually Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Vagley to get my page back here to appoint Mrs. Shalell. I believe is how you say that.
Order.
There it is. Something we're almost,
Contact.
we got ourselves a happy meal here. To the County Extension Committee. We have to take roll call for this. Commissioner Bagley.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Elsing votes aye. So motion approved. All right, 7-4, set public hearing for shotgun zone repeal for February 24th, 2026. Any discussion on that?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. That was
Thank you.
great.
One question, for.
Mr. Baker.
Okay, so this is more than just our normal public comment? Is it a public hearing before the public comment?
Well, whichever direction you want to go there, you could do your public comment first and then go into a public hearing.
I'm fine either way. What do you think works best?
Scheduled at 6 o'clock, after 6 o'clock, correct? Go ahead, Commissioner Olson.
Question. I know in Houston County, I set up for this, we had probably over 100 people. Is this a venue that's gonna handle? We anticipate that much?
Want to take tickets at the door?
Hard to say. We have in the
I
past.
did, yeah.
had it,
We can set it out in the
Green,
open area, but again, it's not really ideal. We can see if we can find another option, but we're pretty limited on space.
I would,
Commissioner Ward.
I would say let's just hold it here. No idea how many people, will show up or anything. We will have the Zoom available if they want to just Zoom in and have something set up out here and people just, will know.
People can share their views online. I mean, we heard one comment today, so that is working. That's back online.
Right. I
We
would,
have a hotspot that's allowing us to do this,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So I would move to set the public hearing for our February 24th, 2026 during the regular county board meeting as first item on the agenda.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
So this first, then the normal public comment. I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
Comment would come first because if, according to what Commissioner Ward just
Yeah,
said.
do the public comment and advise people that we're
Perfect.
going to hold the
Perfect.
shotgun rifle discussion next.
In 2 minutes.
Well, that was my, I was just gonna open it up for discussion before we move, but that was my thought process also was, are we gonna put a time frame on the entire hearing? And also a time frame on any presentation? I'm not,
Past, we've done a 2-minute and I think,
but
and
it's
we've,
overall.
and we've asked people if you're repeating the same info and, to try and condense what they have to be time sensitive. I would say give each speaker up to 2 minutes.
We're gonna put a cap on the entire meeting of the hearing.
I feel if they drive in and show up, we should hear them.
Another option is that you can allow them to submit written information. for
Yes.
Consideration as well.
So really the motion stands, just no timeframes,
2 minute per speaker
2 minute per speaker.
with no set for the total public hearing.
Okay, so we had a motion by you, second by Olson. Are you okay with that with the 2-minute, Olson?
Mhm.
All right, so hearing that, Commissioner Meyer, did you hear all that?
Yep, I sure did. It's all fine with me.
Excellent. All right, so roll call, Commissioner Vagley.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Elsing votes aye. So the motion passes. All right, so community reports, communication. Commissioner Vagley, you didn't have anything?
No, sir.
Commissioner Olson, nothing? Commissioner Ward?
Yeah, just a reminder, we're starting the election cycle in townships and and they vary. The filings for township officers, there are supervisors, there's clerks. Annual meetings come in early March. So if you're in a township, consider stepping up and being a leader in your township. It's the first series of elections going on this year. And attend your township meeting. That's very local. That's the road you usually drive on first in a township. So it's very important to be active and participate.
Perfect. All right, I do have just one thing. Administrator Holte, maybe this can go back. I was anticipating a road and bridge committee meeting today. I was on vacation last week in Mexico, so I got back and started going through emails and I see we canceled it. So just something, I've had a few people ask about the bridge going out on 26 by Elba. And the way the road signs are put up, there's one at the corner of 114 and 26 saying road closed. No, I don't expect you to know where that's at. But it does kind of make it perceive that there's pork plants, there's a business on that road, that potentially could be closed or you couldn't get to that.
Okay.
I do understand why they do that because there's a cut across. It's kind of a cut across road to get down through the valley. But, you know, maybe something we could do, and we could even offer this up to pork and plants, maybe they could provide a sign or something, because this isn't gonna be an extended period, 6 months, 7 months. That, you know, maybe they could provide a sign that we could say road is open to pork and plants or something like that.
Great idea.
And just to help our rural businesses out. So maybe if we could make a mention and somebody could get a hold of them and just say Commissioner Elsing brought this up.
Will
So,
do.
thank you.
They're allowed to put up a sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, whether they furnish it, I'm sure they would have something they could put up to help with that.
A
And
lot of-
also just for traffic.
A lot of traffic in the spring.
Exactly. And that's coming up and that's gonna be done. That could hurt them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was, I guess the one thing that I had. I was gonna mention the voting side too, but you covered that. So, all right, anything else? Administrator Holte? Ms.
I'll move.
Church? Good.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bagley, second by Commissioner Olson to adjourn. Roll call. Commissioner Bagley?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
All right.
Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing votes aye. Meeting's adjourned. All right, should we take a few minute break and we'll get on to committee of the board, or anybody want to start running committee of the board?
Could we take just a quick break?
We'll take a, so we have called the committee board, received presentation of Minnesota Extended Services Producer Responsibility Law and discuss possible impacts on county recycling program. Ross, thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
We are starting into the kind of the implementation phase for Minnesota's Extended Producer Responsibility Law. Officially, it's called the Waste Reduction and Cost or Waste and Cost Reduction Act. Heidi, if I could get the next slide. The purpose of it is to reduce unnecessary, unrecyclable, or problematic packaging. There's many states that are implementing these. With the advent of e-commerce, it's increasing the amount of recycling entering the waste stream. And the cost for managing that is falling to units of government. To encourage more responsible choices in packaging, they're passing along both the cost and the responsibility to ensure that the packaging materials used are more conducive to recyclability, reuse, and then reduction as well. And then it will also change who is paying for the recycling program. The last purpose of it is to expand the availability of recycling to areas that aren't currently being serviced very well. Could I get the next slide? It covers all packaging components, and paper sold or distributed in Minnesota. There are exceptions for some items, formula containers. Some of the additional materials I provided in the board packet goes into full detail as far as what the exceptions are. So there are exceptions. Those probably will change over time as new things are determined. And there are some business to business exceptions where, because of the type of product involved, there really is no ability to make the material a recyclable material. Could I get the next slide, please? All producers who are operating in Minnesota are going to be required to join a producer responsibility organization. The one that is that has been chosen for Minnesota is Circular Action Alliance. Goes by CAA. Go ahead.
Question, Ross. So what's a producer?
A producer is any manufacturer or business that produces, so if you're a e-commerce business, if you're any business that is engaged in shipping a material out,
How do they determine?
it's defined under state law. If you, in the more detailed components, some of the more detailed handouts I provided in the board packet, it kind of gets into the more nuts and bolts of it. But essentially, the idea is, I mean, it's pretty extensive. They're working through the details now. It's very early. It's still very early in the process. I've got there's another board meeting tomorrow. There's a state board that is working out the details with the producer responsibility organization, and the committee has been appointed by the state as well as the state agency reps, and they're working through all of these details.
So do you know, is it a voluntary sign up, a mandatory? Who's the?
It
out
is,
there?
it is mandatory.
But how do you know if I mean, you gotta go in and do your own guilty until proving yourself innocent, or
Well-
the other way around? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, like, how are they gonna go around and be like, well, you, but not you, you do a little, but that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Some states have small business exemptions. I have not seen that in the state. I need to complete going through the legislation in a little more detail to make sure. So far, I've not heard of any exemptions as far as size in Minnesota, but there are some states that do exempt small business.
I'm just thinking, but it's manufacturer based, not, so for example, if I had Erica's Crafts here and she receives a bunch of product in from, pick a state, pick a country, right? Could be China, it could be Taiwan, it could be Germany, it could be American made. She gets packaging in. This is what I'm trying to figure out. She gets packaging in and now she gets punished because of how they decided to ship it, putting her at a disadvantage she got a new cost now she's got to deal with shipping that back out or selling it to somebody else. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
And those are some of the details that we're waiting to find out.
Yeah.
So they're in a sense, because it's a producer responsibility organization, they in theory are in contact with larger entities. If you've noticed with some of your packaging already, you've noticed that the styrofoam noodles have gone away. You've noticed that there's a lot more of the brown paper as padding. So it's already happening because there are quite a number of states that already have these laws.
Well, I guess what I was alluding to that question is, and I don't expect you know it all, Ross. I just wondered if you had the highlights. Is this geared towards companies that are their home is Minnesota, and they are packaging products here in Minnesota that they've manufactured and sent out? Or is it the little gift store over here that's trying to stay in line, that's buying things in, and now they have to pay this fee because of how it's received in? So is it manufactured based in Minnesota, or is it retail based, both going
It's
out?
retail based, so it would be the people wanting to ship into Minnesota. So if you got a small business, in theory, it should be coming to them in the form that is complying with state law.
So, and if not, they pay a tax on it.
By 2032, technically any non-recyclable, non-reusable, non-compostable material is banned unless there's exemption.
So you go to the grocery store and when they ask.
Tax
you
is
about a
better than
bag,
small
no,
business,
you're gonna
without a
take
small
your
business,
hand.
because I mean, what little small business is gonna be able to have any sort of like say over how something comes in? Now you take a Walmart, a Target, these massive corporations, they're gonna have dictation as to what happens. This is just another business killer.
I think it's going to be operating at a level that is not going to be as invasive to small business. But again, we're waiting for a lot of details. Okay, so within the law, there are service providers that need to register with the state. We are a service provider and we have registered. As part of that, the producer organization and the state will establish the goals as far as recyclability. And then the service providers in the state work with the producer organization to meet those goals. Currently, we have each greater Minnesota county is required to reach a 35% recycling rate by 2030. And, we've been in excess of that for quite some time. Metro counties have a higher recycling rate that they've had to meet. So these will be adjusted from time to time as what they are trying to do is they're trying to reduce the trend for landfilling. Despite all the recycling, the amount of material going to landfills is increasing substantially. We've had some waste to energy facilities that have shut down in the state. The state wants to get away from waste to energy. The counties continue to push back on that. There is a place for waste to energy, but they are not popular with the public. So
waste to
it's kind of a balance.
The permitting is so restrictive, and we've got a few counties that have that, and that's part of MCIT carries insurance for them. And it's getting harder and harder even to insure them because of some of the potentials.
Yeah, it's,
What do we do with this stuff? Well, we send it to, will we send ours to Iowa or Wisconsin?
Eau Claire.
a lot of it. Most of the county's waste either goes to 7 Mile Creek landfill outside of Eau Claire, or it goes to central disposal in Lake Mills, Iowa. So that's where the vast majority of our MSW is going.
You wonder why Senator Miller retired. He's probably got to figure this all out.
Could you get the next slide, please, Heidi?
He'd be a good one to have come explain from a business perspective.
So just some of the timelines that are involved here, we're in the needs assessment phase. So that is supposed to be completed by the end of the year. By the end of 2028, the structure is supposed to be in place, and with implementation of the plan beginning in 2029. Full implementation is going to come into effect on January 1st, 2032. And that is where, unless there is an exemption in law, eliminate, all packaging, paper products, non-refillable, reusable, recyclable, or compostable is banned in the state. So over the next few years, they're going to be working out all these details. I'm sure additional exemptions will come up.
Ban, meaning you can't sell it or you can't buy
Means
it?
that the manufacturers cannot ship their products in a container or produce a material that is not recyclable.
This is not a county level, this is state level. And it's
This is
being pressured
national.
at the Amazons of the world.
Yeah, this is
they better
national.
not. We need to be careful about that, but this is designed for the Amazons of the world.
Mhm.
Right.
How does it impact the county?
Okay, could we go to the next slide, please?
Hmm.
There's going to be a lot of unknowns. So that is, we're hearing more, but the last meeting that I attended, there was still quite a bit of confusion. The producer organization is requesting information that they are not allowed to have because it is proprietary for business. And the state is letting them know that, no, you're not going to get that information. So there's a lot of details that we're still waiting to see what is coming forth.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Is this just for shipping companies? Like when somebody puts something together, in my head, I have,
I think you're looking at something more along the lines of Kimberly-Clark and a lot of these large corporations that are, when they are producing their products in the manufacturing phase, looking at what materials are we using. For sanitary reasons, it's not like we're going to eliminate all trash. I can't imagine that.
example, I go to Menards, I buy a ceiling fan. Their Hunter fans are made in the United States, right? So I buy all Hunter fans because they're made in the United States. All right, I know every time I buy one, it's in styrofoam,
Mhm.
right? Okay, for that to come, so this is my question. This isn't on you. I'm just trying to figure this out. So that is made in, I forget where they're made in. I think it's Tennessee, wherever they're made in, and they ship it into Minnesota. They can no longer ship their fan into Minnesota because it has styrofoam in it. So does that mean Menards can't sell it? I'll take it out of the small business, go to a big business, but it's American business. So now Hunter, if they want to do business in Minnesota, has to refigure out how to ship their fan. And the same thing could hold true if I walk down here to the Ace Hardware, locally owned, right? And anything he wants to put on his shelf down there, made in the USA, not made in the USA, it can't come into our state unless it meets packaging regulation, correct?
Correct.
I still go back to that's gonna kill the small business, cause if they've got
State
anything,
by
Nick,
state.
the state by
State by
state.
state.
It is state by state, but there is the Extended Producer Institute that shows you, you can go on there and there's a whole list of what states have what producer responsibility legislation, and it's throughout the US. Some have widespread
Yeah,
laws, others have more restrictive laws where it's, a bottle bill is a producer responsibility law.
not against
Um,
getting rid of the
so-
waste, I just trying to figure out, that's not very much time for people to react to.
Well, essentially, I mean, the technology is here. So if I just bought a heater, and instead of being in styrofoam, garage heater, it came in essentially the same material that you're using for, it's molded to the product, uh, like an egg carton. Provides the cushioning, provides the protection. It's molded to that product.
Egg cartons aren't recyclable.
Yes, they are.
Styrofoam ones are?
Not the
Oh,
styrofoam
that's their
ones.
time.
Yeah.
Very fun.
So
You're saying a
the
paper
cardboard
egg-
ones,
But
they're,
I look at it and say that it just
and,
can't come without a bunch of
and,
issues.
right. And then, the next steps will be driving technology for those areas. If, creating the impetus to find new ways of doing things and letting business do what it does best, which is innovate, find the best cost solution to meet a requirement, and make it recyclable.
I could see at a federal level that would work a little easier because now anything that's imported into the United States or manufactured in the United States would have to meet this compliant. But you can't tell me that somebody's gonna say, well, we sell, $50 million to Minnesota, but we sell, $5 million in Minnesota and we sell, $300 million to the rest of the United States. We're not gonna change our packaging ways. We're just gonna say, well, sorry, Minnesota, we can't sell it. That's one of the fears that I see happening is that they'll get segregated out if everybody isn't in compliance. And that's, you see where my head's going with it?
I see where you're going.
And I could see the Amazon side. That's easy, right? Because, okay, somebody orders something off from Amazon, how Amazon decides to put it into the box and what they use to package that up to get it to you. Absolutely. That's simple, right? But the manufacturing side, that's the tough side that I could see that hurting businesses.
But you said there's many other states that are already doing.
Yes, yes,
We're-
they're,
Right.
So we're it says right here, Maine, Oregon, Colorado, and California. In 2020, Minnesota became.
yeah,
the fifth.
Washington State is also passed. They have a very similar law to Minnesota, and they're just in the development phase as
Again, I'm
well.
not against any of this. I'm just looking at it saying,
But why are they exempting all the drug companies? I mean, think how many drugs are shipped around.
imagine
They're exempt, a lot of drug stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is if there's a sanitary issue, those items may see exemptions, but a lot of those are already working. We've got
In
the
terms of the
plastics,
county,
we've got the,
This is all state level or national. In terms of the county, what the impact is, it might mean a change.
Those blue bins might
Yeah.
cost a
Right,
whole lot.
And the line item addition to our property tax, that might change, right?
there is, well, and we'll get to that here next.
Okay.
So there's going to be a change that it looks like there's going to be a change there as well. So they're talking about increasing the availability of composting, which has been a problem for a long time simply because the amount of materials in the waste stream,
Mhm.
it's not, we've studied trying to do composting a number of different times. We just can't come up with a formula that works. With the legislation, it may actually, as compostable materials become a larger part of the waste stream, we may find that not only we're able to, but we may be required to engage in some composting.
They want us to do that here, county by county?
I would say it'd be more regionally. They've been
Or
encouraged,
group of
they've,
Counties get together and.
yeah, they've been encouraging regional operations for quite some time over individual county by county operations.
Cost all this, and composting's not hard, actually, believe it or not. I've taught many
No,
people.
but do you want to live next to a big compost site?
No, and that's, so the segregation of compost obviously is, you know, production type stuff, but. So they're gonna have to have a processing center to separate this.
The consumer will pay.
They always do in one fashion or another. So
So the tax added is something that's gonna be added to the incoming or outgoing side of any business that's buying stuff.
Right. So the other part of this law, it requires the producer organization to fund at least 90% of the cost of recycling.
Say that again?
The producer organization is going to be required to reimburse service providers at least 90% of the cost of recycling operations. So we have registered so currently we are paying for our recycling through our parcel charge and our hauler surcharge. That's going to, you know, assuming that nothing changes down the road here, that is going to change. We're going to be reimbursed 90% of our recycling program costs
From the state,
from the producer organization.
from the producer, but that's a nonprofit.
They're a
If the
nonprofit,
state-
but they're going to be funded by the manufacturers. So
I've faith in
that's,
too many nonprofits.
we will,
Giving money back.
this will be similar to what we're already doing with household hazardous waste in the paint care law. So you're going to, currently when the paint care law went into effect, all of our latex and oil-based architectural paint, when we ship that out to, through our hazardous waste hauler, we invoice paint care, they send us a check. And so that includes all of our supplies, and then we receive a stipend for some of our time for doing that. So it's going to change how it's paid for. Ultimately, yes, it just becomes a cost, but instead of replicating it or handling it on a county by county level, it's going to expand that and in theory, create some waste reduction that is currently there's no reason to do. So now this is all starting and we're in the last year of our recycling contract. So, so we've got a lot of things that are up in the air. So came to you to try to talk, just let you know about this and get a kind of an idea of what is the interest in the board.
What are our choices? Give us choices.
You have two choices. Current recycling contract provides for a 5-year extension. In theory, in 5 years, we will know all about this and it'll either sink or swim. It'll fall apart, it'll get extended. But this, in theory, will get us to the point, an extension would get us to the point where things become more known to us. Our current contract provides for being able to change. So if the state changes some things on us, we will be able to change our contract, add components. We're not locked in. Our current contract, the only escalator, we have the base contract, and then each year the annual cost is adjusted and it's tied to the consumer price index urban. So for 2026, it was 2.7%.
The other choice.
The other choice is we send
Set
it
it on
out back
fire.
out for bids.
We're all on fire, just like we
Yeah.
used to burn it on the fire.
Yeah. So the other option is you just put it back out for bids. We go out for requests for proposals, requests
Capped,
for
but it's capped
qualifications.
Annually at 3%. So in
Right.
5 years, 15%.
It's a known versus, in talking with some of the solid waste planners, they said if you can extend at the state. My recommendation would probably be to extend because it's known.
Oh,
We don't end up with any surprises.
What do we pay
just-
per household? I'm sorry. What's each household? It's on the
Currently,
tax.
currently each residential collection is just under $5 per site per month
Residential,
for residential.
$5.
So total, we're just over, we also have the multifamily accounts, which utilize some dumpsters. We have some commercial accounts that are also paying in. So all set, when everything is said and done, we're just over $1 million in our contract costs
but a private home is about $60. Residential, city resident is $60. That's
a year.
different for rural residents, but, right?
No,
No,
Oh,
same.
okay.
no.
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 Perfect.
So, we've provided all of our contract lists, collection lists with the state already has that information. They're using that to determine the needs assessment. So this is all in process. We just have to decide what we're going to do. So if there is a desire to put this back out for bid, then we need to get started. Unfortunately, all my contracts and RFPs are tied behind
Is our current
a locked up
contract
server.
willing to accept the 3%?
At this point, they've indicated they were open to an extension.
Oh, okay, because I priced.
You want a motion?
Mr. Chair?
No, we can't.
Just an idea, just to kind of,
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Meyer?
Thank you. Ross, do you see, it sounds to me like your recommendation is to extend the current contract. Is there any advantage to the second option, which is going out for bids?
the idea would be that, that by going out, there are some new solid waste haulers that have moved into the area that you could get a reduced cost. Under the terms of our current contract, we allow no fuel surcharges, there's no flexible charging. Your only increases are tied to the CPIU. I think we negotiated that in 2016 at a much more stable time in our economy. I just don't see us getting that this time.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. I'm just gonna throw this out here, but what happens if we just took the current contract and we shelled it? I change garbage services all the time because they're always willing to compete. And the last one was too expensive, this one did. When they come back, miraculously, all of a sudden they get cheap now, right? Is there any benefit to saying, here's our demands? I got a post office coming up for contract. Just lay it out and say, this is what it takes to stay in my building, take it or leave it. And could we do that with very minimal work? We can basically expose our current contract, send it to these other companies and say, do better. And if not, so be it.
And I just say something?
But yeah, go ahead,
As
Rebecca.
somebody that I actually recycle, I don't think anywhere on my blocks recycle. I don't see them putting out bins. They're very particular on where you put the bin, at what time it has to be out by. But I do it because I like to recycle, and you're going to be forced to at some point with this program. If you go for another company, I need to find another bin. I need to figure out what to do with this bin. Now I have different rules I need to figure out. As just somebody that lives in this community, I don't see people already doing it. And now you're going to make new rules for them to do. I think that's also a risk.
We've got about a 92% participation rate in the county.
Pretty high.
So not everybody goes out because it's an older community. Not everybody sets the recycling out every time. But we've done surveys, and we're seeing over a 90% participation rate.
Cause even like,
Not in Pickwick, in town, or like literally, I mean, it's a bunch of rentals, so maybe I don't know,
Mm.
but they do.
Well, if they don't send them out, are they larger units or are they
They're all
individual?
houses. I live in
Okay.
residential, and I am the only one in my block that has
Yeah,
it.
rural,
We-
yeah, you can drive the road, yeah, you see the
We
bins.
have carts assigned to properties. We know which properties have what, how many carts. So we track all of that
very,
information.
very good, very good. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. The one thing I would say is just like switching garbage services. They usually come around, pick them up, and then come around and you mail out the schedule. I think we could overcome that. Part of the recycling deal too is even for us, we had kids, it was one thing, but with just two people, and we actually have very few box goods anymore. We don't eat anything and we just, it isn't,
It's less.
we,
Yeah.
yeah, it's less, but it's also how we're buying things. We just don't have very much for recycling anymore and because we don't buy box food, I guess. And so a lot of it. So I think we're just seeing less recycling as a whole, so.
But I have a constituent that is very concerned that it's not a economical way to do things.
No.
The amount of stuff that actually gets recycled is cost benefit, return on investment. He says you're
I
doing
think the
feel
numbers
good,
are there
feel
for
good
that.
politics.
It's feel good politics.
Yeah.
I can agree with
Now
that.
that we
On a
recycle,
dollar
they
basis.
Chuck the stuff in the blue bin and I drag that thing down the end of the
Ends up in the
driveway.
same hole.
I'm supposed to feel good about it, but he says the amount of stuff that's getting recycled is.
Mr. Chair,
Agree with you.
But Ross, has
Just-
there been, one of the things.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, Commissioner Meyer.
thank you so much. When I was on the Parks and Environment Committee, and particularly when Commissioner Jacob had first become a commissioner, I know that when Ann Morris at the time did a study, and there are differences in terms of we have, I don't know, 20 or 30 solid waste haulers. And so each of those companies drives around. So there's more of a cost because there's so much more used in gas. But because we have a single recycling hauler, there's a huge economy of scale. And so at that time, in spite of the fact that the sales of the recycling were not making money as they once had, it still was far more economical to recycle than to throw things in the trash because trash collection was so much more expensive. So I'm not sure if those numbers are still true, but I think that recycling has actually for the individual, back then we were paying $16 a parcel. Sounds like now we're down to more like $5 a parcel. So I think it is probably a very economical method of collection. And I will say that the assistant county attorney lives fairly close to me, but I'll tell you, every single person on my block puts their recycle bin out. So we do have a pretty high rate of recycling.
I hear you, Commissioner Meyer, but in my neighborhood, I still see multiple trucks not doing the recycling, doing the garbage collection. So we've
Yeah, right.
got a lot of wasted, yeah, but it's a competitive market. People can pick and choose.
But you want to move things along. You want feedback from the board. I'm comfortable with your recommendation to keep the existing contract. Can we maybe go around and do a sense of the body?
I'm going to ask a couple, some of the people that are in the business and see if they feel that's something.
Undecided.
Who's the contract with now?
Currently it's with Harder Quick Cleanup.
And they have been really good. I mean.
Yeah,
The,
they're
the best thing that they bring to the table is they have their own processing facility and they're willing to accept
everything.
materials for recycling that most companies would not even remotely consider.
Much easier than it was in the past.
Yeah, you're able to put your pots and pans in your recycling container. You can put your toasters, toaster ovens. They're willing to, because they have their own processing facility. They also continually circulate their line and are picking material down to higher levels. They can also rerun their plastics to make sure that their plastics are cleaner, which allows them to obtain better markets for the plastics. So there's a number of different items that, that provide that benefit that we've not seen anywhere else available. So that's mostly within the MRF.
A side item is that many years ago, I remember going to a facility in La Crosse that was doing waste to burn and everything. I mean, maybe if they would do a tour of some kind, Parks and Environment, and maybe, I mean, I'm oblivious to what they do and how they do it.
If you go to the county website, the recycling homepage, there's a video
Oh, okay.
that we did prepare.
Just look for the schedule when I'm supposed to.
Yep, we have had we have done a couple of tours over the years. We can set up another one.
Is it specific to Harders?
It is Harders,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
We
I'll
went
look for it then.
we went there in 2024 and took video
Oh, okay.
and one of our people assembled a video that
I
kind
still
of
refer to my blue Ben as the memorial to Ann Morris.
Real quick question, maybe we can wrap this up.
Mhm.
So, my question is I go back to looking at the current contract, just for transparency, disclosure, accountability. Literally saying, let's hand it out to 5 other people. I mean, it's click, here's what it is. It's public information, right? Contract's public information.
Yep.
And send it out and say, can anybody else beat this? And if somebody can, now we vet them out. Can you do what Harders does? First of all, it keeps Harders honest. Second of all, keeps the taxpayers' dollar honest. If it isn't gonna require nothing more than 15 minutes of dragging the file over and the 5 people and off we go, at least we're saying, hey, Harders and everybody else, we're keeping you in check.
I mean, it is a sealed bid process, so it is a little more involved. Yes, we can retain the same parameters. When you go back out for bid, there's no guarantee that your current bid is going to be reproduced. They may take the opportunity to increase.
Well, before we go down that path, maybe just being that we've had the conversation, it's on our agenda, maybe we'll get some feedback from some local providers if they're interested.
Yep.
If they feel, because you said it's $5, that's what the county's paying, but isn't there a fee on our property taxes of?
The parcel charge is currently $28
28, okay, 'cause
For
I
the
remember
year.
that went up.
for the year.
Plus
And-
60.
And then there is a 13% solid waste surcharge on trash bills. And that pays for all solid waste programs, HHW. The state contributes 172,000 in SCORE funding towards recycling, but
So without us having to make a decision today, I guess, Commissioner, if we can just go around the room, get an idea as to what we think we should do. So Commissioner Bagley said, keep it the way it is. Commissioner Olson,
I would, today's recycling day in our neighborhood, and I saw a bunch of blue bins on the way to the meeting this morning. I know the risks of putting it out there. So I would say a bird in the hand.
it's predictable.
Commissioner Ward.
I hope to hear from some other providers if they're interested before we go through the whole RFP process. And I like to, if it's somebody local.
Is it something that you're asking staff to
No, I
reach out to a few people or just?
No, I just think the word on the street and I'll put up a few calls that I know
Okay.
and just ask them, is it something that they would be interested in?
Undecided, gather more information.
Yeah.
Yep. Commissioner Meyer.
Mr. Dunsmore, if we did a closed bid process, that nullifies our ability to just extend the current contract.
Nullify it, but
Not-
it could change.
It doesn't nullify our ability if they were willing to agree to an extension. The question is, I'm getting into some new areas. It's not how we've done it before. So
Well,
it would
Sure.
be,
I am willing to go along with just extending the current contract.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Yeah, and I could definitely see the benefit in me doing tons of contracts of taking the sure thing, right? But because time is on our side, we don't take this decision right away. And also, as Commissioner Ward said, hey, obviously it's got to come to a meeting. We've got to approve that. So let's see what happens in between. And if something spawns between now and then, great. If not, I'd be willing to go along with extending it.
I mean, normally we would be starting the process right now.
But we can't
Because
do
we
anything.
do have to go out. There are the posting requirements for sealed bids. And then you have to provide
Yep.
time for, if you've selected a new contractor, to be able to be prepared
Sure.
to roll out the operation in the new year.
Like,
So if we don't hear from anybody, we could put a.
either way, even if we said, yes, we can't do anything, we can't make a motion to go put sealed bids out for 2 weeks. We can't do anything.
It's 30
So
days.
either way, it's gonna wait 2 weeks. And if something comes into play in the meantime, then we'll march. March or whatever it's gonna
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
End of March or first meeting in
Or
April.
even, I
they
mean,
come.
2 weeks enough time for you to gather?
Yeah, it's just, again, are we gonna, is anybody interested? Do they want to go?
This is really saying, we're just trying to give you direction, so.
I'm trying to give staff more clarity. and
Yep,
trying to-
that's what I'm trying to do here.
I think we can make a decision by April, the first meeting in
Well,
April.
why, how about 2 weeks from now? You have staff, so they're not
I
wondering.
don't think we should wait until the first.
Okay,
January.
so March, today's, well, March, the first meeting in March?
That's,
Put it, put it on the agenda, and again, is there interest? I have no idea, but I think we should be able to allow
I
people.
mean, you will see bidders. The question is,
And they can contact you if they want any more high level, I mean,
I can't really I can't really represent anything. So what, basically it's, here's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, we need to provide the proper legal notices,
Sure.
and then go into the sealed bid process. And then if we don't like the bids can be rejected. If the existing contractor is willing to extend, potentially, I guess we would be able to need county attorney guidance on that.
so is it okay to wait a month from now, or is 2 weeks better for staff?
With comp plan and everything else, I would like to get started on it sooner than later, but that's fine.
just saying
We'll
if that-
just, we'll go with beginning of March,
can we-
if that's
can we-
okay with
Can we
everyone.
put it on the next agenda meeting, the
yeah,
24th?
fine, yeah.
Put it on the 24th.
Just
Is
saying,
everybody okay
I
with
wanna
that?
know if anybody's interested in pursuing it.
Sounds good. And if
Commissioner
we get-
Meyer, did you hear that? We're gonna put it on the 24th. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, thanks.
All right,
Thank you.
any other discussion on this? Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Ross, very much. Wonderful.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Nope. Up there getting shotgun approached here.
Speaking government.
All right, so that is the only thing on the committee of the board, so we will move on to the working session. I'm gonna run to the restroom quick.
These binders, do they stay, Maureen, or they go with it?
Take them or leave them, either way.
Won't get lost in the stack. It's the big one.
Well, the
Content.
expectation is that we'll use
You'll
this
fill it
moving
up.
forward and you'll have more documents to put in there.
Gonna fill it up.
Does Attorney Sonneman have one?
No.
Okay.
Usually doesn't participate in the working.
Oh,
Yeah, you can stay if you want. I'm just letting you know.
oh, I was like, she asked me to stay for this. So I
Oh,
just thought she
no
would,
worries.
oh,
No worries. Yeah. The information should be out on the website.
okay.
Okay, close those.
Hey, Heidi, could you pull up that document, please?
And this is not a closed session?
No,
No,
this is open to the community. Not for discussion for the public, but for the
Listen.
board to, yeah, to discuss budget.
Work session.
You want to see if she can.
Sure. Is it possible to make it a little bit bigger?
All right, let's start on the working session. What do we have? Administrator Holtby.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't even look up. Go ahead.
Hard to miss.
That's all right. That's all right. Good morning, everybody. Phil Sonnenberg, Finance Director, Winona County. So what the intent here is to go over some of the work that's being done and also give a overview of some of the terms, very high level, things that perhaps would be helpful for this group to hear, for community members to hear. So what we've done is put together a overview of what IFS is. So IFS is a ERP system, a general ledger system that we as the county use. It's integrated financial systems, and that is the primary work source for all of our budgeting, for our reporting, et cetera. So the whole county, general ledger system is alive in that. So that's that. When you hear the term IFS, that's the world of which our budget and reporting and processing exists in. So when we look at the GL, we have certain sources of revenues and types of expenditures. So when we look at what is on the screen, Heidi, if you could scroll down a little bit. We have revenue accounts and expense accounts, right? This is pretty normal stuff. But when you look at some of the accounts and reportings in IFS that you're seeing that we publish for board meetings, agendas, et cetera, you'll see the revenues are 5,000 series funds. And then you'll see expenses are 6,000 series. So, when the biggest revenue source for us is 5,001. So that's our property tax revenue or levy. So that's the fund we talk about as the board when you make decisions on providing the levy. So you can also see when you're looking at those reports, other state or federal revenue streams. And then you'll see expenses. So if you look in Health and Human Services, for example, you'll see 60/50 quite regularly, and those are the types of expenses for human services. And then you'll also see the largest items of expense being our salaries and benefits for Winona County. And then the other series there or range in the series are our operating expenses. Heidi, if you could scroll down, please. Again, if there's questions as we go along, please ask. So if we look at, additional detail of how a GL code is structured within IFS, you'll see that there's multiple segments, and each one of those segments have a representation as dictated there. So we have a fund, a department, program, service, and object. So fund is likely the most common term you'll hear us, oh, this is a fund 1 item, or this is a fund 3 item, or a fund 5 item. But fund 1 is, this is on the next page, so we don't need to go through everything. But it is interesting to observe, if you look at that full GL account, so I picked one that has a representation in each of those segments. So you can see what that actually means. So it's Fund 5, Health and Human Services. It's in Social Services, Adult Services, and this is a description for legal services in the Service and Object Code. So if you're asking people in HHS what this is, they're going to say, oh, that's adult legal services. But in our system, it's this, 5-segment GL number that each one of our departments are responsible for. So if you scroll down, Heidi, you'll just see a list of our county funds that are in the system. And, most commonly, the ones we're going to see before you are going to be the 1, 3, 42, 5, the ones that the levy attribute to. So again, you can read through this in this section. Then if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see a list of the programs and services that live underneath each fund. And if you can,
Keep going, Heidi.
If you go back,
Yep.
Bill, do we really have 5 bonds still outstanding?
this is a list, so it may be inactive.
Somewhere closed.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
okay,
this is
okay.
just a list of all of our funds for
Okay.
transparency.
Okay.
But yeah, there's
They don't ever really close out of your books because they have to be there indefinitely. So once you make a translate, I know that's the way our stuff works. It's always there.
Yep.
You
So-
might not see it or it might even be inactive, but it always stays
there?
there.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh. So if you look down a little further, Heidi, you'll see that I've gone through and listed all of the departments that live underneath each fund. So to Josh's point, these departments may have existed at one time, currently active, inactive, but they are listed. So you'll see there's quite a plethora of the activity in Fund 1 that we talk about on a regular basis. Heidi, if you could just scroll down slowly. Yep, so again, this is all in front of you, in the books that were put together and assembled for your review. Thank you, Heidi and Maureen, for putting that together. And I will let you review all of those at your leisure, but these are the departments that exist within our fund structure here at Winona County. Heidi, if you could scroll towards the bottom of page 7, please, where it shows levy use by fund, that would be appreciated.
And this is for 2026.
That is correct. Yep.
2026 figures.
Yep.
Yep, looks like it. Okay.
So what you'll notice here is when we look at the spend by fund, it's pretty simple in this outline, right? But it's really not that simple, right? We a little bit further down, Heidi. Bottom of page 7 is what I'm looking for. Thank you. There you go. So when we provide to the board for approval the spend of levy, these are the funds where it ultimately resides and where our budget and IFS system are looking. So that's where it all lands. And then, of course, you can go down into department and program and so forth, but this is the summary level of where the levy exists.
So a quick question, Bill. So this morning we just approved the sheriff buying some repeater and it was coming out of the capital improvement. That was budget. So you got a 349,985. So do you have a balance sheet when that purchase comes off of there? How do we know when we max out those funds?
So we're actually using reserve for some of our capital purchase, well, for most of it, except for this 349. So yes, there's a comprehensive list of items that each fund has approved by this group, and we are monitoring that. And then as it becomes in
So you
front
have a
of
red line on that account when it gets
Yeah.
critically close?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go Commissioner Meyer.
thank you. Phil, when I use the portal that's on our website frequently when I'm doing presentations. And so this number for Health and Human Services, the 9.5 million, does that include all of the staff or are the employee hours in general county operations?
No, they're all together. Fund 5 is inclusive of all of their headcount and FTE.
but this is just for the levy. This doesn't, like, road and bridges is only 1.9 million.
Correct.
Yeah, this
These-
is
This is
levy.
only
This is
levy.
levy,
Yep.
not including the state reimbursement,
Right.
the federal.
Because that's why it's at 28 million.
Yeah, so if you, I mean, it is important to read the note here at the bottom
Yep.
that, you know, we do have other revenue sources that are not attributable to this list.
There's
This is strictly levy.
there's single road projects that cost 1.9 million.
So
Oh, correct.
total budget like 89.
What that says is we'd be broke pretty
The
fast.
intent of this was to help the community as well as the board to see where are we spending levy.
Yep.
That was the intent of this picture here.
Of the levy, yep.
Yeah, because our overall budget is 82 million.
Yeah,
Yep.
82.
Yep.
82 million, yeah.
Would it?
Right, and the overall HHS budget's more like 22 million.
That is
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, okay.
So we
Just
probably
for-
should have if we could add that to a
Well,
grid.
here's something that I think might be useful. I'm just gonna, and maybe not. I would want to know if I had different funding sources and I had them broke down into those 5 categories. I would want to know levy versus the percentage of outside funding.
That's
And-
what these spreadsheets are
Or,
gonna represent.
but can we
Put it in a,
can we have it right here, like next to that? I don't know.
Well,
You see where I'm going with that?
I do, and so again, we will get to this, but in the back of that packet is multiple tabs by each one of these funds, which represent an organization, if you will, of what is spent via revenue sources by levy and via revenue sources by other. So yes, it is compiled, but no, it is not easy to show in these terms.
But I mean, if we know that road and bridge is, say road and bridge, I'm just gonna pick a number. Road and bridge is 10 million.
Mhm.
Okay. And so CASA is covering 8 of that, and we cover 1.2, we cover the 2.
Yep,
So we could just put 8 and 2.
yep, and it's in there. In
Okay.
that packet, it's in there.
Okay,
But
I just
think
thought it'd be
it's
nice to have it
important to be in-
right there. So we go, oh, look at that, 80% is outside funding, 20%. I don't care. It could just throw it all in the bucket. I don't care what it is. Just to be able to show, and I think this could be very useful to taxpayers, myself included, to say, hey, locally, we are only collecting 20% of the funds needed to do this. The other 80% is coming from the state or federal, whatever that is. That is the perfect diagram to put it into layman's terms to say, your portion of this paid through the county only covers so much of that.
Yep.
I think that is a powerful thing to put on the website.
Needs another column.
Just one column there to be like, other.
Or
I don't
state.
care, just call
break
it
out
other.
state and federal.
Yep.
If you wanna
But you
break
see
it
where
out
I'm going with
state
that,
and
without having to
federal.
dig into the detail.
If we didn't separate it out by all the various sources.
Yeah.
Yeah, other, that
Oh,
is.
And I still want to separate it out. I'm just saying 2 columns
Plain English,
Here,
easy to read.
here.
Right, and the total at the bottom needs to be the 82 million.
Yes, correct. So you're gonna have 28 million, so let's call it 30 million, and the other side's gonna say 50 million.
We're that-
And you just had 2 columns, and that is something that I think the average person could look at and be, yep,
Understand.
perfect.
Yes.
And I like that idea for a number of reasons, for what you just said, and if we can make a shorter version for the general public and
Yeah.
in plain English, no offense to accountants, we do speak a different language sometimes.
You need to do the detail.
Yeah, but
We
in terms
make
of,
the big-
remember Dieter Milmacher from the city council?
Yeah, he had his
Dieter-
charts.
Yeah, Dieter wanted, they tend to be called Dieter charts. They turn all this stuff into plain English and pie charts. Like 1 page. I like what that suggestion is, because that does make intuitive sense without having a 16-digit code or whatever. et cetera.
Yep.
So
Yep.
for
I
future-
still want to like it broke down, but that is
Yes.
something the general public would really understand.
Yep.
that.
Yes,
Heard.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. This is very good. I
Yeah, this
greatly
is great.
appreciate
Yeah.
all the detail because
I'm a
I never
numbers
figured
nerd,
out what all
so
those
this
numbers
is
mean.
I love this world, you know, but yeah, I always have to think back, how can other people understand it, you know, without
Absolutely.
diving into it.
Yeah, so if we, I guess, that's an overview. These are kind of, a highlights, if you will, or a guidelines, if you will. Heidi, if you could go to page 8, please. So this is what we have been working on and what we are working on and what I, as your finance director, am asking from the department heads and their supervisors to compile. And Josh, to your question, what is all the stuff in the back of your packet? This is the work that's being done. So we're asking which items in folks' budgets are required by statute, and then what are the revenue and expenses in those areas? And then what level are we reaching? And also, we're examining and continuing to examine the things that I think have had conversational topics in the past in regards to efficiencies, revenues, and expense management. So all of that has continually been part of the conversation reduce expense and expand on revenue. I think that's always the goal. So if you scroll down a little bit, we get into the talking, see you, Todd. These are discussion topics for opportunities to, for this body to discuss in minimizing our future levy. These are not recommendations. I just want to be clear in that these are not recommendations. These are talking points, if you will. So there's several programs and items listed that subtotal $1 million. And then if you go to page 9, it also includes a listing of the outside agency funding that is also approved along with the budget annually. And I guess if we could just go down to page 10, Heidi. This is what we're doing as far as next steps to obtain our timeline, which is below. So, for example, today we're having additional department head meetings to refine and combine efforts to get better in this process, which we're examining. And some of those considerations are, so if we look at finance, right? What is our cost per unit? What should our measurement of unit cost be? Should it be journal entries? Should it be checks paid? Should it be checks cash? Should it be tax dollars processed? So all of these things, it's not an exact science, and it's particular to each area of operation. So we're trying to get better at that. But that's what's going on now. And you can see our timeline before you, which we talked about at the last meeting as well. And I will stop talking now.
If I may elaborate a little bit. So if you look at the next tab, it's the agency funding 2026 overall spreadsheet, which gives you 2022 through 2026 funding. The reason that we put this in here is because it has the quick reference of the GL code of where you'll find that. So I've heard at a number of meetings, well, where is that in the budget? So the intent was a quick reference for you, nothing more. So then we also included the full budget report, which is your next tab. And this is from December because we're not able to get a more current report at this time. But again, the logic is for you to start reviewing, you know, each section, each department, and hopefully the tools that we've provided are helpful. And then the next tab is where we have all of the departments who compiled the inventory of mandates, core functions, and other services. And again, this is the best snapshot that we can provide for you right now, but we are still actively working with all the leadership teams to get that cost per service or per program. And so what our hope is that the board members will have some time to go through and look at which ones are mandated, which ones are not mandated. Which areas would you like more information? Send Phil and I an email so that we can start working on those, in addition to continuing to work on the cost per service or per program. Because you're all going to have different inquiries. And so the more that we know in advance, we can start working on that and be ready for the next meeting. This is a work in progress. It's not perfect. It's not complete yet, but we are making great strides given our restrictions.
Okay, quick question. I just flipped it open. I'm on page 263 and 264. And I have a lot of people ask, well, you know, we say our people is what's the biggest part of our budget. So I'm looking right there and so you got salaries permanent, you got one code, but then on the flip page, you got salaries permanent. It's a different code. Shouldn't that, or is the 6103 the key that it's the same? Because like people say, and I've asked this before, what is our total salary? And, you know, and I suppose I could go through and add these all up, but.
No, we've provided reports in the past.
So is the 6103, the last four digits, that's the commonality?
Yes.
Not knowing all those.
That is
digits.
your object code.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So if I ask for a report on 6103s, you could run a report and it would tally all
That is
those
regular
wages. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So the N number is the key. Because you did say in that I think maybe Commissioner Meyer asked that those codes, the salary, like Health and Human Services, it's all the wages are in that number too. Okay,
Correct.
because we break it all out. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Meyer.
thank you. This is for Administrator Holte. How close to being complete is that inventory? I mean, would you say it might get 20% more entries, or is it pretty much done?
I would say, and Phil, feel free to chime in, I would project that we maybe have about 30% of the data. I would anticipate that we should receive, I'm hoping at another 40% before our next meeting. We're pushing pretty hard. And the reason is because it's essential that the board has time to digest all of the criteria, the measurements, the metrics, and determine what direction do you want us to go.
So it isn't even halfway done at this point. I say that because I didn't see any big surprises in there, things that I didn't know would not be potential targets because they're not mandated.
Correct.
So, yeah, okay. Great.
I would say that I feel that the materials you do have are highly useful, even at this time and place, because it is, even though you don't have a cost per service, you have an idea of what each area is doing and what is mandated and not mandated. And, you know, departments aren't going to voluntarily say, I don't think we should be doing this, or I do think we should be doing that. So that really is for the commissioners to understand and for our public to understand that the items within those back sheets, although very detailed, are very important in regards to decisions that will meaningfully impact the budget.
So Phil, thank you for that. My question would be, as I look at any particular department, am I assured that the total is in fact accurate? It's not just however far we got in the inventory?
I would say that the only one that we need to refine is the Health and Human Services. The total on that needs to be refined a little bit. The rest of them should tie out to that 28 million levy total. So
Okay.
yes, dollars are accurate, but I would say with exception to the Health and Human Services, which I need to work on a little bit.
Sure, but it's not as if there's major pieces of functionality services that we provide that are not, didn't yet make it to the sheets.
No, monetarily speaking, no, Chris.
Super, thanks.
Yeah, the leadership team did a really good job at getting all of the functions and services listed and whether they're mandated or not mandated. That is pretty thorough. It's getting the metrics is the part that we haven't achieved.
Yeah, and this is a great start to that process, though. I mean, just first of all, just really understanding, like even that first page, just, okay, here's the 80,000 foot. Here's what we pay for. Here's what you're paying for over here. Either way, you just have a smaller piece of the pie, right? And then to get it start breaking it down in these subsection really is nice. Now, I just flip the page open and I'm gonna pick, well, I don't want to go to funds, so let's go to expenses. Gotta be in here somewhere. But pick a line item in here. It doesn't really matter. Am I going to be able to go and scrutinize what mileage was for a particular department at $24,000 without sitting down and saying, well, did you take the fastest route? You see where I'm going with this. It's going to be difficult. And I don't think that's the idea of this. I think the bigger idea to me is, and you alluded to this, Phil, was, how do we encourage department heads and subsidiaries to be fiscally responsible, to not just spend within a budget because the dollars happen to be there. One of the disadvantages of the government is that I can bonus people to come out better than our budgets. So I can encourage them to not spend all the money by saying, hey, the more frugal you are, I'll give you a portion of that. And it's a little bit of the pay for performance that Commissioner Ward's been talking about. But what this begins to do is for us to realize where some of these bigger dollar amounts are being spent. And then how can we capitalize on, I'm going to say, improving the dynamics of how that money is spent in those areas. However, I'm the advocate of always saying this isn't going to happen by $100,000. It's going to happen by $2, $5, $100, $1,000, $20. That's typically how we tend to see improvement. So this is the beginning of, to me, of something to start helping, first of all, understand how you guys do it. So thank you very much. And the goal I have being involved with this is to try to help the fiscal responsibility and somehow figure out how to encourage that throughout the staff.
So our goal is to have as complete of data for you at the next meeting. If we have it in time, we'll get it out earlier so you have time to digest and evaluate that. Is there anything that the commissioners would like us to work on for the next working session? And I mean, this is really for you.
One thing, I know that we have, when you're looking at mandated services, and I know it's talked about in here, the level of service delivery.
Yes.
How do you quantify that? are we exceptional service delivery, therefore it costs us more to provide that service. But we don't want to lower our standards.
Yeah.
So although by lowering our standards, we could save substantial amount of money. Until we get pushed back from the public, and then they say, you know, let's, you guys are failing us, so.
So that's a really good question, and I wish Jill was here. She says it very, very nicely. She is having one-on-one conversations with her leadership team about how do we define quality service? How do we define that? What measurements are we using? So that is happening amongst our leadership, but it's a slow process. Because it's really in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But aren't some of those things, we have that, we approve it every year, that the matrix from the state, that we do some things. And I don't know if it gets down into like answering calls or so much time we plow the roads and.
Oh, you're
those
talking
There's that
the
measurement.
performance measurements?
Yeah, we sign up for that every year, but I don't know that it gets down
It
into,
doesn't get to the level that,
yeah,
but some of it.
some of it does.
One thing that I would like to see, and this does not, I would like it a little, maybe I don't know how detailed, I guess, because I don't know exactly what I'm asking, but I'd like to see a 10-year average, a 10-year layout, like, so from 2016 to 2026, not taking every one of these into account. Like here we have 24, 25 into 26. We're kind of saying, hey, here's where it was, here's where we are, here's where it's going, right? I get that. But even when we look at page was that with that breakdown that I said, page 7, the simplified description, levy use by fund. I don't know if I want it as simplistic as those 5, and maybe there's a way to break it into a few more categories, but it would be nice to see that 10-year laid out. Where have we been? Is the trend in this fund? Where's the leaps and the bounds? Even if you just took, maybe just to start, we took these 5 scenarios and we just did a 10-year run out on them on one piece of paper, just one sheet that just has 10 years of that, because I don't see that in here. You follow what I'm asking?
I do. I'm trying to understand how that would be of value. And the reason is because there are so many unique things that happened over the period of time that would impact why those things happen. So without understanding the why behind it, I'm just trying to understand what is it that we're trying to gain from that.
I think it's just to understand how fast things have gone up. And you can see trends, you can see the COVID trends, you can see cost expenses. You can even see it when you get different boards that have chose to be very, very reserved. And then sometimes there's a bubble that happens after that. We talk about that all the time, right? You're penny rich, pound poor, right?
Wise, pound foolish.
There you go. So, and there is truth to some of that at times. And we can correlate back, and this isn't meant to pick on any prior commissioners, because I hope they find out 1,000 mistakes that I've done wrong in my life and somebody can improve on it. But at the end of the day, we can say, hey, we knew at this time we had this situation. Here's how it affected, or hey, here's a COVID bubble. Where were things at? Where are they going? What's the trend? How fast are they going up? I think we're going to see it in our health and human services. Very, very steep. That's an impact based on what's been pushed down to us by law through mandate, that we can go back and say, hey, look at what our state representatives have pushed onto us. Here's the trend when it started. You know, to me, it helps me understand more than just where we're at. I need to see where we were to kind of understand where we're at.
Okay.
And I think it'd be very simple, just a 10-year, it's got to be a click on the, we can run a 10-year report.
Well, right now we can't.
Well, yeah, but I'm not saying like, hey, Tuesday at 4:00, could you get that? I'm just saying that would be something in here that we, as a running, it could almost be at the very front. Every year you produce this. If I get hit by a bus, for every year at the beginning of this summer, I would imagine the first few pages say, here's our 5 big capital, here's the expenditures. We're now into 2027. Here's the column.
Yep.
We kick it up.
We actually had that in multiple working sessions.
Yeah.
It was part of the letter where I compared last year's to this year's.
Correct. And if we could have that 10-year running, I think 10 years is a great number to work off of. I don't know who's up.
I remember when we had the synthetic drug epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had a spike in out-of-home placements. So when you look back at 10 years, you're gonna see a bubble. And then there would have to be why. So there's so many anomalies like that that have happened, that it might not be a true trend. It might be a bump and a
100%.
bump and.
But it's still the path and how you get somewhere. You know, I'm constantly reviewing what we've done in the past and like, hey, why did it happen? Where's it gonna go? Is it gonna happen again? How do we plan for it? You know, especially in my world where, well, no different than this, where you can wake up one day and you come back from vacation and find out, hey, by surprise, we just spent $100,000 in repairs, right? Well, that hurts for the month of January a lot, you know? So, and we're gonna note that and say what happened, why did it happen, you know? Sure.
I like the idea of going backwards, especially if we could also get through, I don't want to add more to what we're asking staff, but in terms of maybe through MICA or AMC, like compare it to other counties, because it's good to know what's happening to us. Like how much is it in line with, and without, again, if it's doable and if it's not, if we go back 5 years, go back 10 years, look at trends, it'd be good to compare it to other counties. But if that becomes too much work, then let's drop that. Another area, which I think you already do it anyways, is just like the areas of concern, like Greg mentioned. I was gonna actually use this as out-of-home placements. Like,
Yes.
what are the areas that are like, what are the red flags?
Drivers.
Yeah, what are the areas of concern?
I would reiterate, what are our most expensive, what costs us the most and where the trend is there? And you're right, we had an outcry of out-of-home placement. I haven't heard a peep out-of-home placement the last couple years. I mean, are we steady? Are we increasing? We had a cry for childcare, daycare centers. I don't know where that population is. I mean, I haven't heard anybody, there's a need.
There's still definitely a daycare.
Right,
Yep.
but did we fulfill it somehow, or where are we going with that? I mean, I
Yeah, not today, but for future. right?
yes, yes. And then, now the front tab information is really important, but that wasn't in our packet. Right.
It wasn't because we weren't done with it.
Okay, so can we make this 10
It'll be on-
pages, on the web so people can look at it? I
Working
think that's what
packet will
they're,
be put-
This is
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
This is great, guys. This is a good start. I really
So-
appreciate it. Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yep, Commissioner Meyer?
thank you. I had 3 points. Let's see if I can remember all of them. This is really for Ms. Holte. So restorative justice, I know that we have had conversations in the past about potentially being able to get some reimbursement for the services that they provide. And I'm wondering if we know when we might get an update on that. The second is, I know that you had shared with me from one of the other organizations, for HHS directors, the percentage of the HHS budget that needed to be covered by the levy, and that varies from county to county, and that we were going to explore for those counties who have a lower rate than we do, meaning they're managing to maximize their state revenue, that we would maybe start a project of trying to figure out what that might involve. So I'm wondering if we're anywhere near being able to get on that project, or when we might be able to. The third thing is that I've had a couple of constituents complain about the length of time that it takes for when they call for services and when they get the assessment. And I would love to find out a little bit more about that and what it would take to reduce that, and how our waiting time compares with other counties.
Is that it, Commissioner?
That's
Meyer?
3.
Yeah, those were the 3 things. Yep.
Okay,
She didn't forget.
so restorative justice, Jill has met with Department of Corrections, Renee Patterson and Renee Rumpsa. They are reviewing the potential for utilizing targeted case management in conjunction with the juveniles that are being assisted in restorative justice. They have not worked through all the details of how we might be able to have that work through the merit system, so Health and Human Services systems. But I know that they're meeting. I can ask Jill, Monday, I meet with her again. The percentage of levy, I'm actually looking at how are we doing at Winona County compared to other similar sized counties in all of the funds. You know, just to get an idea, how are other counties minimizing the use of levy versus how much we're using of levy to do these programs and services. And I'm meeting with each of the various departments on that. So as far as a timeline, I know that Jill reached out to 2 counties and she's actually going to be talking at the Health and Human Services Directors meeting coming up in March. So I can again ask her for some timeline on that. But I know that she is looking into it. And then as far as the call for services on the assessment timeline, I haven't looked at how we compare with other counties yet on that, but Jill is working with her team to see how can we streamline, how can we improve that lag time. Part of it is staffing, but also we need to evaluate how much of the services do we need to do versus we're doing. So because we have historically gone the extra mile to help the community, but we're at a point of where we need to evaluate, again, at what level are we providing the services? So that's what she's currently doing on that.
And I don't know if I get to.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, we'll let you.
So like, I mean, I just want everybody to remember what, and I understand that you see the numbers in front of you, but like, first of all, you want to pay your employees decent so you get decent workers. If you cut, like say you cut a program like restorative justice, either that has to roll on to somebody else, or the ramifications are they don't get those programs, those juveniles don't. So then you're end up with bigger problems later. Like you don't have a diversion, so then we end up with the court system. We don't, you know, I'm just as we, like, it's not
100%.
all about numbers, it's
No,
about
yeah,
like,
it is.
there is,
Yeah,
like, if you
it's-
cut restorative justice, because they won't do because
100%.
they can't do it over there,
Yeah.
then you have to bring it over here.
It's
You-
the classic CFO, COO
Yeah.
combatant in business. Where the CFO wants to run things one way and the COO says, hey, you don't understand. And then you have the national sales manager that says, hey, it's the correlation of what builds a company or board or anything. Here's my comeback to that. I haven't been on the board that long, but oftentimes what I kind of see and what part of this is to me is to dive a little deeper than just the outside agencies. Because if we look at the amount of money that the outside agencies are in reflection to our budget is a very small bit. And honestly, what we're going to do in that little bit of a column is a fraction of the fraction. And so the idea of this isn't necessarily to go attack outside agencies. Yes, we need to understand what that is because they are still a portion of the budget, but it's really to get into the more of the nuts and bolts that we can say, okay, as a collective board, here's some other ideas. Here's some things that we've come up with. We really see a lot being spent here. Can we put some focus on that outside of the outside agencies? And really have a better understanding of what's in there. And to me, that's just my personal take on this, is to go look at the other $82 million sitting there rather than just this 2, $1.5 million or whatever it is. So equally pick on everybody. How about that?
I just,
There's efficiencies to be had in every department.
100%. And how do you
And
find
I've got a lady that's head of Stearns County, that's St. Cloud, so they're big. And she said they use, just for answering phones, because time is money, even in government, time is money. The people answering the phones for the human service things, I mean, they used an AI through Google that cost them about, I think she said about $600. And the amount of time it saved just answering the phone and getting the people to the right department, AI did that versus a person. And then the people were more efficient, effective, spent more time doing their job versus answering the phone. There's little things that can be done in government.
And that's the idea, is looking at this saying, oh, wow, we spent a lot of money. Here's a thought process, or bringing it out to other constituents that say, hey, we've got this issue. There always seems to be somebody that wants to give me feedback about something. That's, we all know that, we experience it, right? So, and sometimes it's really good.
Yep.
So,
But it's all about return on investment. Are we getting the best return on our investment? And that's hard to quantify sometimes.
we're on the right path. So are we gonna, how often are we gonna do these work plan sessions?
Every meeting.
Okay, good.
I
This
think
is
it's essential
great.
for us to have a direction by the end of March.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially if
There's a lot of
it can be
these
smaller
things-
and focused. So because we,
Yeah.
if this is on us five, we would tendency to keep on talking. We could turn this into a 2-hour work session.
Oh,
If it's-
100%.
if it could be focused.
Yes,
give us a couple pages to look at
Yep.
and
Yep.
work through.
yep, and that's our hope.
And we can take these, correct?
You can
Yeah.
take those with
Yeah,
you.
I like that.
Yep.
Great work.
All right. So
Thank
we don't
you.
need a motion to adjourn, but
No,
any other
good stuff.
discussion? Commissioner Meyer, do you have anything?
No, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate all the effort that's going into this process. And I really do believe it'll give us some more transparent information to make decisions on.
All right, thank you. Guess we're done.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, very much.
Josh,
Thank you.
Chris, thanks for staying home. You sound terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my son called me this morning, took a COVID
Yeah.
test. He has it.